Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Leia if you are new here. Tonight we are going to be making the easiest pumpkin pie. At least I think it's the easiest. I've made many pumpkin pies over the years. They call for these slow simmers and then straining out the extra pumpkin, and honestly sometimes I just don't feel like doing that. It's kind of nice when you have a bunch of canned pumpkin like we do. We can all of our pumpkin every year. We go to a local farm and get it, and now we're even growing some. So we always have lots of cans of fresh pumpkin, and pumpkin pie would be nice to have kind of regularly, just a quick treat after dinner, you know? Why not? And I guess the why not is that they're always really hard to make, and I don't want to go through all that for a quick after dinner treat. So I found this recipe and I really love it. It came out great the last time I made it for my family, and now we're gonna make it together, and I think that you're gonna like it too, hopefully. I should have lots of time to do this tonight because dinner is going to be spaghetti. This is a meat sauce spaghetti. I just pulled out of the freezer. I think it's meat sauce spaghetti anyway. It smells right. You ever do that? I do a lot of things well, but I do not label my freezer contents, and so I'm always guessing. I think this is spaghetti, so I'm gonna put this over here so it can finish thawing. I'm gonna bring in my cutting board. I need some butter because the first thing we have to do is make a pie crust. I am gonna share the recipe that I use. I think it's very, very easy. It's mostly done in a food processor, which I really love, but you can use whichever pie crust you want. You can use a store-bought one if you wanna make this even easier. No judgment, do whatever you need to do. I kind of messed up. This is fresh out of the freezer. I should have pulled this out. It does need to be like very cold for the pie crust, but it needs to be thawed enough that you can chop it. So I've cut these 4 pieces up, and they're gonna thaw pretty quickly. While they thaw, I'm going to get my flour going. All right, over here I've set up my food processor. Side note, I need recommendations for a good, I honestly haven't looked yet, but if there is a food processor that has a stainless steel bowl and a stainless steel, whatever this doodad is, I want to know what you have, if you have one, because I made breadcrumbs in this the other day. Ironically, to avoid buying something in plastic, we've been buying our breadcrumbs in a plastic container, because that's how it's sold. And I made my own breadcrumbs to put in glass pint jars downstairs. And the bread was so sharp after I crisped it in the oven that it tore up my food processor. So it's kind of ironic. So all those breadcrumbs basically had to be thrown away. They've got to be full of plastic. I mean, every single surface in here is scratched. So that's really disappointing. And I need a stainless steel food processor, evidently. Or I need a different way of making breadcrumbs, but it does work great for this pie crust. Don't let me discourage you. So we're just gonna put in 2.5 cups of flour. You don't have to be super particular. I try not to pack my flour in here as best I can, but I'm not weighing this out. Okay, there's 2.5. And then I need a tablespoon of sugar. So all of our baked goods, if you're new here, we get everything in bulk from Azure. So everything is downstairs in 5-gallon buckets, and then we keep a gallon jar upstairs of everything. And it's a really easy system like that. Then we need a teaspoon of salt. And that's basically it for the dry ingredients. Just gonna blitz this real quick. I also lost my, what's this thing called? So I have to block it with my hand or it puffs out. Okay, back to the wet ingredients. All right, so my butter, if you can see, I'll scooch you back a little bit. My butter is chopped up now. It's still very, very cold, which is good. Normally, I don't really follow the instruction when it says to freeze it because I just don't want to take an extra step. So for once, I will actually probably have very cold butter to add to my pie crust. I have a 1/3 cup of water here, and I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of sour cream to the water. Let's see what else I can get out of this one. This is the Nancy's Probiotic Sour Cream on Azure, and it's so good. Okay, there's 2. Wow, I can't believe I almost got 3 tablespoons out of this container. Just a little bit out of this one. But yeah, we buy this in the 6-pack, and it stays, we go through it in about 2 months, I guess. Okay, so the next step is to put your butter in here. If you do not have a food processor, you can totally do this by hand. You can either use one of those pastry, what are they called? It's like the handle thing. I'll show you in a minute. But I kind of don't like those. So if I weren't using my food processor, I would just be using my hands. Just use your fingertips so you don't melt the butter while you're doing it. And you just crumble it into pea-sized pieces within your flour. This doodad, is this a pastry knife? I feel like it's not called a pastry knife. It's a pastry cutter, I don't know, this thing. But I feel like it gets clumped up in there and it doesn't really work. So I bought it because I didn't like using my fingers, and then I didn't really much like that either. But this is super easy. So I'm just gonna pulse this until it's a coarse, like pea-sized crumble. No, a little more. Now this is ready to add our liquid. It's nice and fine and crumbly. So I am just gonna run this on a puree, knead, whatever button you have. And it's just gonna run continuously, and I'm going to slowly drizzle this in. And then once it's all in, I'm going to keep it running until it comes into a ball. If you feel like it's not going into a ball, give it a little bit more time than you think it might need, and it probably will. But then if it doesn't, you can add more water. Okay, there it goes. I always doubt it. I always feel like it's not gonna happen, and then it does. So as you can see, it's all in a ball, and now we can put it on a pastry sheet and roll it out. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of flour down first, just a tiny bit. You really don't wanna over add the flour. Also, it is the first day of, what is it, the end of daylight savings time? I can't remember. But it's already getting dark, and so the lighting in here is super weird. I don't remember how to film in the winter without good lighting, so I'm sorry for the harsh lights. So I'm just gonna gather this all into a ball. Okay, and you know what you really should do at this step is you should refrigerate it, but I don't really have time for that tonight. This pie is gonna take a little while to bake. As easy as it is going to take a good minute in the oven, and it's already, is that right? Did that clock not change? I think it's 5 o'clock. The clock behind me says 6. I think it's 5, or it would be dark. Anyway, so I'm gonna roll this out and go for it. I only need 1 crust. This makes 2. I should have said that to begin with, sorry. And I'm gonna freeze the other one for, I don't know, some other time when we want a pie. I also canned blueberry and apple pie filling this year, so there'll be plenty more pies. sometime when I have more time, I would love to sit down and do many, many batches of this and just freeze a bunch of them just like this in a bag. It's kind of like the ultimate convenience food. I've been freezing all of our stuff in these big bread bags. It says they're freezer safe, and so far I've had really good luck. They are lined with like beeswax type stuff. They were not cheap. I think they are 30 bucks for 2. So it's something that we've just slowly, like every few months we buy a pair. And I think now we have 6, and they're awesome. Of course I want more, but like I said, they're really expensive. So slowly but surely. But yeah, they just fold down. We put like muffins, biscuits, all kinds of things in them. So I might make this my pie dough one, and I'll fill it someday. The only thing I don't like is I need to figure out how to label them, because they all say bread bag. So we go through the freezers downstairs and we're like looking for something specific, and it's, nope, these are bagels, nope, these are English muffins. So I need to come up with some kind of label. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that yet. So anyway, if you've been looking for that sort of thing, I can absolutely link it down below. You can see other things like it on Amazon as well, I'm sure. We've just been trying to get away from plastic as much as we can in this house, both for our health and the planet. All those things. It just can't hurt to use less plastic. So now I'm just gonna roll this into a circle. Okay, I had to stop and help a kiddo with something. And this crust is just getting warmer and warmer. I might be a fool for not putting this in the fridge first. But I think it's gonna be okay. I'm just gonna try to get this tall enough that it goes up the sides of this. This is a very large pie dish, so I guess it doesn't really have to go all the way up the sides. I finally bought this one because my daughter's favorite meal is pumpkin pie, not pumpkin pie, oh gosh, what's it called? Chicken pot pie. And I kept spilling it off the sides of my shallow container. All right, moment of truth. We're gonna get this off of here. My husband just came back in to grab the unruly 2-year-old so we can focus again. All right, gonna press this in there. I have been trying to make a conscious effort to be careful what I'm showing of our children on the vlog now. I think AI has gotten so scary, and it kind of breaks my heart that I can't just share my kids, because to me they are just like pure joy, and they say and do the funniest things. And in some way, even if nobody watches these videos, they've become like a home, what do you call it? Like home video. You know, we used to have the little video camcorders, and you just watch your home videos. So I kind of felt like I was creating that here a little bit. Whenever I would edit, it would be so fun to see their faces and just the things that they said, and to preserve those memories. But I'm really worried about AI. And so I'm trying really hard not to show their faces, especially once they're older. But maybe I can still put some of their voices in here and some of the things they say. We'll see. I am walking that path now, and I don't really know where it's going. Okay, this is gonna go in 350 for 10 minutes or so. Oh, I forgot something. Okay, last time I did this, it worked pretty well. To stop your crust from melting down the sides, you're supposed to put foil in it. And some people even say you should put pie weights in here. They're like little ceramic balls. I don't own that yet. I feel like it's kind of a splurge. I probably will buy them someday, but I don't have them yet. And I also don't like to cook with foil, at least not where it's touching my food directly. So I tried this parchment method last time, and honestly, it seals in there pretty well, and it worked last time. Okay, I'm gonna get this cleaned up, and then we will mix up our pumpkin pie filling, and it could not be easier. Okay, let's do this. So the first thing you're gonna need is pumpkin. The recipe calls for 15 ounces. So if you're using store-bought pumpkin, you can probably just use 1 solid can of pumpkin puree. However, I have homemade pumpkin puree. I have home canned pumpkin, how about that? And you can't safely, according to the USDA, you can't safely can pumpkin puree because it's too thick and the heat can't be sustained in that for long enough to do what it's supposed to make your product safe. Let's just put it like that. But you can cubed pumpkin. So that's what I do. You do the cubes and you fill it with water and it goes around there and it makes it safe to can. And the cool thing is, it literally doesn't make a difference. It is so soft. Here, let me see. I mean, you don't even have to pre-stir it. You can just add your other ingredients in and it turns into mush. Like, it is basically pumpkin puree. So, don't let that deter you if you've wanted to can pumpkin and then you thought, oh, I won't use it if it's in cubes. It is pumpkin puree, okay? But I need 2 cans of it. So 1 can is about 8 or 9 ounces. So I'm just gonna use 2 pints. And I open it up, I just turn it upside down in my hand, drain the water out, and stick it in here and stir it on up, and it's fine. Actually, if I weren't trying to weigh it for you, just for science purposes, I'd just add it straight to this bowl. So that's what I'm gonna do. You do not need a scale for this recipe at all. I was just wanted to explain myself a little bit there. Okay, let's pop this lid. Always a satisfying sound. In it goes. Quick pause to show you this pie crust here. I just pulled out of the oven, and the nice thing about this parchment is you can also, it's like a barrier between your oven mitts and the crust. You can also just press anything that may have slipped, which it really hasn't slipped much at all. Kind of back into place. And then you can peel it out. Okay, this recipe is so easy that you can do it with basically just 1 hand. The next thing we need, oh dear, this might be the only tricky part. The next thing we need is sweetened condensed milk. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of my favorite Azure finds. I think it might be a new product, but it is organic sweetened condensed milk. It's just organic milk and organic sugar. So I don't feel bad using it. It's kind of an easy convenience food rather than pulling out all those things. It's shelf stable. Boy, I really do need a second hand for a spatula. Okay. So long as you don't try to stick your hands in it. She just woke up and she is not very happy with me. So the next thing we're gonna add is 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. I can link a recipe to pre-mix this down below. Our family won't go through a jar of this fast enough, so we just mix it at home just a little bit at a time. And the recipe that I'll put down below tastes perfectly good. Okay, before I really get to stir in this, I'm gonna add the butter, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and we need 2 eggs. These are eggs from our chickens now, which is really cool. It has been a lot of fun getting them every day and being able to sell some to our friends as well. I saw something that said that every carton of eggs you buy or something like that keeps a chicken out of a factory farm. And so now we're like, how can we get more chickens so we can get more local eggs to more of our friends? But that probably won't happen until next year. All right. And then we're just gonna pour it on in. I made my crust kind of low. Whoops. At least in a couple spots, but I think it'll be okay. This is, after all, just an after dinner pie. So it's gonna cook for 45 to 50 minutes. Last time I just used the thermometer to tell when it was done. Yeah, my new favorite thing is using a thermometer to tell when anything is done. Every bread I always check, like, I mean, just everything. I made donuts the other day and I was sticking thermometers in those, but this says 180 degrees is good for a pumpkin pie. So I just stuck a thermometer right in the middle and checked it to be 180 degrees. I don't care that there's a hole in it. Maybe you will if you're making it for a fancy occasion, but you can just put some whipped cream there anyway, right? All right, here is the pumpkin pie. There's my little hole to check the temperature. And I will try to remember to get a picture of a slice once we slice it, but it just couldn't be easier. It's just a very easy dump into a bowl, mix up, throw in the oven kind of thing.
Hole.
You think the hole's funny?
Yeah.